This isn't a nice thing to be at. It's not a nice event to be at. We haven't had one of those in a long time because over the last 3 days, we've had 3 suspicious fires in our city, coincidentally near Jewish institutions. This week, 7 incidences of anti-Semitic fueled graffiti on a kosher grocery store, on businesses, on synagogues, just 5 minutes from here. We've had gunshots into schools, firebombings, and the normalization of genocidal chants every single day in our streets and outside this room tonight. I know you share this view, but I don't recognize this country anymore. I don't recognize the country that my parents came to. I don't recognize the neighborhood in which I grew up. I don't recognize my fellow Canadian citizens anymore for what's going on in the streets. And we're here because yet another one of our sacred places had been attacked. And I wish that I could say that when I heard the news, I was shocked or I was surprised, but I wasn't. I wasn't shocked or surprised. Nearly 10 months after the horrors of October 7th, Jews here in Canada have come under threat like never before. And these acts, remember, they are perpetrated by a loud and radical minority in our society who don't respect our values and who don't respect our beliefs and who do not respect the rules in this country. And somebody needs to say that out loud. What's worse, though, is that they've been encouraged explicitly and implicitly by a much larger group of Canadians, including people in our own government, including those who tonight I reluctantly share this stage with. And this shouldn't be a partisan issue, but it has become one since the government started kowtowing to the radical wing of their party. A government that hears the pleas from synagogues and community centers like this one and responds with silence they didn't even call when it happened. A government which could barely muster even the weakest condemnation of anti-Semitism and now can't do it without moral equivalence. A government which appoints vile anti-Semites to lecture you about diversity. A government who voted to withhold arms from our democratic ally, who reinstated funding to UNRWA, whose leaders are obsessed with the annihilation of the Jewish people and took part in the biggest massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust. They sided with Hamas, and we will never forget that. Call out a government which appoints an apologist of terror to lead the Human Rights Commission, to regulate what you say, and is charged with protecting you against the very racism that he has espoused throughout his own history. A government, instead of standing with Israel, turned its back at the earliest moment and embarrassed our country by condemning things that did not happen. And instead of taking a principled position, they say one thing to one group of people and the opposite thing to another. And instead of banning terrorists and standing up to them, they hold their hands. and I will say this, and I am not afraid to say this, but caressing the hand of a Holocaust-denying terrorist who is in the 19th year of his 4-year term, whose mandate and his entire rule has been to celebrate the murder of the families and friends of people in this room is unforgivable. And until things like this stop, we are going to have events like this. Whether it's actions or inactions, words or silence, they are adding fuel to the fire of Jew hatred that is already burning way too hot and way too strong and way too fast. And you might think that nothing can be done. And it's easy to feel that way. But the only way in which we are certain to fail is if we sit on our hands and we do nothing and we all but admit defeat. We can never, ever do that. So I'm going to tell you, when your representatives are silent, make them speak. And when they forget that you are here, make them remember. And when your adversaries attack you or belittle you or deny your right to exist, show them that we are not going anywhere. And when that doesn't work, vote them out. I have to say that the Jewish people have survived thousands of years of trying to return to their homeland. They have survived thousands of years of being burned and persecuted and hung and gassed and tortured. And they have overcome obstacle after obstacle. And my friends, this is no different. Now is the time to stand up. Stand up. Stand up. This is a rally. Stand up against hate. If you're willing to stand up for our freedoms and our values, Pierre Poilievre and I will stand with you. And if you're willing to fight for our safety and our security, Pierre Poilievre and I will fight with you. And if you're willing to work for a country that protects our freedom, our democracy, our rule of law, our common sense for the common people, we will work tirelessly for you. I might not be your MP, but we will always be your voice in Ottawa, fighting for the values that this country holds dear. That is my promise to you, and do not be fooled by the platitudes that you hear tonight. Rabbi Cantor, thank you very much. Michael, Michelle, thank you. And most of all, thank you to you for standing up. Thank you so much.